Hi, this is Alan from Alpus Group talking about video 6 of a series of 6 free training videos. This is step 5 of our development process, detailed design and construction. Introduction to Alpus Group. Alpus was founded in Slovenia in 2015 and is based within the European Union and also in the United Kingdom. Alpus operates in the UK, in Europe, within and out with the EU, in the Middle East and South Africa. About Alpus Group achievements. Alpus Group has property assets in the UK, in Europe and beyond. Alpus has a track record of project management success over many years for commercial and publicly owned clients. Culture. Alpus Group creates property wealth through the application of project management, technical and financial expertise and resources towards leveraging additional value on its assets. Ethos. Alpus Group applies its expertise and technology for the benefit of its customers and shareholders. That's me, Alan Edwards, Managing Director. I've got extensive experience in the management of property development and infrastructure projects in the UK and internationally. I started work at 16 years old working for a building contractor in Hampshire in the UK. Now I've worked for contractors, top-tier consultants and clients. See references and testimonials. The Alpus Group views the United Kingdom property market as having many opportunities during the next 3 to 5 years in the following sectors: residential property, affordable homes, family accommodation, executive homes, retirement homes, student accommodation, and commercial property, especially with regard to changes of use as a result of the permitted development rights recently introduced by the UK government. We employ 3 strategies mainly. Strategy 1 is permitted rights developments. That's commercial to residential, usually. Strategy 2 is development and planning permission for change of use. So this is seeking planning approval from the local planning authority, slightly different to the first strategy. And strategy 3 is joint ventures with property owners. So looking at approach 1, site acquisition and development of commercial sites for residential under permitted development. This is a low risk because there's already permission to carry out the development. Approach 2, the site acquisition and development of residential sites for executive, retirement and affordable housing and other types by seeking planning approval is a higher risk because there's always the risk that you may not get the planning approval that you're seeking. And approach 3, joint ventures, obviously need to be assessed on each project's merits. This is the Alpus property investment and development strategy, 5 steps. Step 1, identify sites. Step 2, preliminary design and feasibility. Step 3, planning permission and site acquisition. Step 4, marketing and sales. And we've covered all these in the previous videos. This video covers step 5, which is detailed design and construction. Alpus Group site finding techniques. We look for property development sites from various sources and we do pay a commission for introduction of sites that we follow up and complete. Alpus uses the available internet websites such as Rightmove, Zoopla and On the Market, etc. to identify opportunities, and we also use Nimbus maps in conjunction with other methods for supplementing information about development prospects. Alpus carries out joint ventures with property owners. So these are the videos that are in the series. As I mentioned, we've covered the first 4 steps of our development strategy: identify sites, preliminary design and feasibility, planning permission and site acquisition, and marketing sales. And this step 5 is in video 6, detailed design and construction. Alpus evaluates each development from the outset. We consider the detailed design and implementation at the preliminary design stage. So we look at the construction methodology as part of our appraisal, and we also consider health and safety from the design and the construction point of view. We'll consider the type of assets being developed and how best to deliver them. Depending on the type of development, Alpus will look at both traditional trades and modular off-site methods. Traditional trades is what you will get when you've got an existing building and you need to adapt it. So it'd be very difficult to use modular in that sort of circumstance unless you're doing a major refurbishment and upgrade, and you can include things like bathroom pods into the refurbishment. But that's quite tricky, especially because of matching floor levels. That's always an issue with bathroom pods. When you've got new build sites, it's much more easy to consider modular, that's off-site fabrication methods. A review of traditional methods will include the following: site clearance, including demolition and disposal of materials, excavation and foundation works, structural frame and cladding, brickwork and blockwork, mechanical services, that's including heating, air conditioning and plumbing, electrical installations, plasterwork and screeds. Note these are wet trades and involve a lot of drying time because you've got tons of water included into the construction, and they need literally days and weeks to dry out unless you use dehumidifiers to assist the drying out process. And of course the traditional carpentry, joinery and the decorations and tiling, which might be quarry tiling for floors and walls, or it could be vinyl sort of flooring. A review of design and construction will include consideration of system building and modular construction. So as I mentioned, conversion projects, difficult to do anything other than traditional methods. As I mentioned, the modular bathroom pods is one instance where you could prefabricate the more complex part of the construction, which is basically the bathrooms, especially. And you can consider that with an existing building, you could erect a new building adjacent to it or at the back of it and put up a steel frame building and incorporate modular construction into the steel frame building. That's something which we're familiar with. And we'll review the design and construction process to advise on what the most appropriate methodology would be, which of course would have an influence on the design. Because if you do have a modular building provider, he will carry out the detailed design for his factory fabrication, and there'll be an interface with the architectural and structural designs for the site work. There may be a significant deposit needed for the modular building supplier to mobilize his resources, which is a cash flow consideration. And some funders may not appreciate that. So it's something you need to discuss with the funder of your project. Make sure they're aware that even though there's nothing going on site or very little work, there's a lot of work going on in the factory which is contributing towards the success of the project. And the modular construction needs manufacture time, and before that it needs time for design and approvals, including drawing approvals and sample approvals, booking the manufacture time in the factory, and also procurement of materials, particularly for your project within the factory. So it's a lot more complex in terms of the coordination, but once you've got this system set up, it's actually easier to carry out, particularly on site, because there are big savings on site resources as a result of factory preparation. But what you have got to manage is the interfaces between the architect and the other design team members, the main contractor or the construction manager, and the building supplier, the modular building supplier, to ensure that all the interfaces are correct, and when the units come to site they line up perfectly with the service ducts that have been provided and the drainage outlets that have been provided on the foundations on site. Alpus assesses the procurement or contracting strategy for each project. A main contractor may be appointed with all the trades as subcontractors, which is the traditional model, or a construction manager may be appointed to manage different package or trade contracts. The program time schedule is critical to the delivery of the project on time. Contracts need to be set up so that designers and contractors collaborate. So you might have a city centre development or a rural development, and you've got to consider the logistics of both of those situations. Obviously, with a city centre development, you've got issues with adjoining structures and buildings. You've got party wall issues between your site and adjacent sites, and you've got responsibilities towards foundations and structural walls of adjacent properties. So it's a much more intricate operation and more expensive operation usually because of site constraints in a city centre, whereas a rural development, usually you've got more options with regards to space and logistics. Apartments, flats bring their own particular requirements. They can benefit from modular construction, but obviously you've got to gear up for the rate of production that you want. So you're talking about a massive operation if you look at a site the size of either of these two pictures here. Executive houses, usually bespoke, one-off, more inclined to be traditional construction, but could include timber frame construction. That's quite common. Alpus carries out a comprehensive risk assessment on each project from the outset. We'll identify all risks and schedule them and allocate to risk owners for mitigation. Risk is assessed on the program and budget, and suitable contingency allowed. Safety risks are assessed continually and independent of commercial risk. All risk is continually reassessed as the project progresses and appropriate mitigations applied. All risks are reported on periodically. Alpus carries out a stakeholder management assessment. All stakeholders and their needs and requirements are recorded, and a stakeholder management strategy is prepared. Actions are allocated to individuals for stakeholder management activities. Stakeholders could include some or all of the following: the sponsor of the project, whoever that is, investors, funders, designers, contractors, local planning authority, building control department, utility companies, neighbours, etc. In fact, anyone who's got an interest in the job. Alpus may prepare the following documents depending on the needs of the project. A health and safety plan, that's usually absolutely essential under legislation. Design and implementation strategy or strategies. Construction methodology and logistics and method statements for the works. Drawings and specifications for different purposes. Concept design, preliminary design, design development, production, that's manufacturing, workshop drawings and information purposes. All drawings for contract purposes, that's to be part of the contracts that you undertake with contractors. You need to have a set of drawings which should ideally be the drawings that you're going to implement. An interface strategy and plans, a commissioning strategy, a handover or handback strategy. Responsibilities for the following specialisms need to be agreed: architectural services, town and country planning, structural engineering, civil engineering, mechanical engineering, plumbing engineering, electrical. Mechanical would include air conditioning, of course. Specialists such as topographical, ecology, geology, pollution, landscape, architecture, specialist lighting, acoustics and lifts. Alpus may recommend design and build contracts include certain of those services. There are multiple different ways to procure projects, but Alpus always arranges contracts requiring participants to collaborate. Alpus has experience of the whole design and construction process on projects ranging from the smallest to the largest. Alpus recommends the most appropriate procurement and contracting strategy for the project in hand. Alpus gives clients and customers the benefit of their experience on many projects worldwide. Alpus has first-hand experience of many different contract types. Alpus sets up monitoring and reporting systems on every project so as to track and control key critical issues. Here are our details. Alpus is represented in the UK and in the EU, in Slovenia. You can contact me, Alan at alpusgroup.com, or telephone me on 07539 141 257. Of course, put +44 as the country code if you're ringing from outside the UK. If you want to book a 30-minute exploratory call with me, then go to https://calendly.com/AlanJE, and we can have an exploratory talk. Obviously, there's no cost involved in that. And you can also pick up a free contracts checklist from Alpus Group if you go to the tiny URL, which is put in the description. And there's further property development training from Alpus on the second tiny URL, which you can go to. So that concludes this batch of 6 free training videos. We'll be doing another series of training about contracts, and we'll put that on our YouTube channel as well, so you can benefit from that. And we'll also do some other videos about various construction methods and issues, which will be in another series of free videos. So